Hi everyone, and Happy New Year! Welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to my 52 Weeks Project 2021 edition. This will be the last video of this series. We're going to complete these two layouts right here, and as I mentioned, we are going to work on week 51 and 52. Now, had you told me this 52 weeks ago that we would have gotten this far, I don't know if I would have believed it, but we did. So I'm going to bring in here from my stash a couple of PML cards because I actually ran out of pattern paper. But that's the point of this project, right? I'm going to bring back these really pretty star die cuts, and I did use them in a previous video, and I thought that they turned out really, really pretty. So we're going to work on week 51 right here, which was Christmas. And I thought I'd take a picture of this scene right here because this is actually the first picture that I took when I started this project. So I thought it would be kind of nice to finish it off this way. I am going to pull my stamped images here, and I did go ahead and I restamped it using different colors. Now, if you want to see how all of those came together, just hang out with me until the end of the video and I go through all of the colors that I've used to stamp all of those pretty images. So let's get back to this layout. As I said, I'm using this one right here, and I didn't have the paper that I had left in my stash was actually too short. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to stress over that because we are using our scraps, and I just used it and it worked perfectly. This is a double page spread. It's going to be inside the book, and I thought, you know what? It's going to work out. I cut a little piece off of that last piece that I had. I'm going to move it over to the right side, and we're going to complete this layout right here. So before I cut those pieces at the back, I wasn't really confident in cutting my PML cards because I wasn't exactly sure what size I needed. So I brought this little piece back and I cut these just cardstock. They were my test, if you want. And no, they weren't perfect the first time I cut them. That's why I used some of my stash and my cardstock just to do a test. And if you like the nice bright red, you could absolutely use that as well, but I wanted to have something more monochromatic. Surprise, surprise, right? So this piece measures 2 1/4 by 3 3/4 for what I'm using on my page. And now I feel much more confident cutting into those PML cards because I only have 2, so I didn't want to, waste them. And this is what it looks like when they're all cut up. So you add your 2 photos right here on the top. And I'm going to dive into this die cut. Now this die cut is actually really, really great for 6x8 formats. It's perfect. The length of it is perfect, and you get so many pieces that you can embellish your pages with. I'm really glad that I pulled this out of my card making stack if you want. Now, if you don't have this particular one right here, you can definitely use a star punch. You can use anything that you have in your stash, actually. So I'm going to try it here on the left hand side. Just going to move my photos and I'm just going to pop that onto my page. And isn't that pretty? It just dresses up that page, I should say. And it's really, really easy. You just pop that in, and I don't think I'm going to use a pennant, only because I've got this in my stash. I'm going to add my stamped sentiment here, and I'm going to use all the leftover bits on the other page. That's what I like about this thin cut when I was using it. And even these ones here, the ones that are not complete stars, you can tuck them underneath your photo and no one's going to know that it's not a full star. So I'm just going to play around here with my little clusters, as we all do. And I think that that looks really good. So we're going to put these pages together, and I guess I wanted to say thank you. Thank you so much for all of your encouragement, because when I started this project, I wasn't sure if I was going to see it through. We tend to do that, right? We tend to start off January with a bang, and then we just kind of drizzle off, and we don't finish projects or challenges that we've taken on. And I have to tell you that this project was more than just scrapbooking for me. It actually kept me positive throughout 2021. Now, let's face it, 2021 has been hard for a lot of people. And by taking pictures every week and looking at simple things in my life, but pretty things, and things that I could document and kind of look back on, I was happy that I stuck with this project. And I usually scrapbook events. I usually scrapbook about other people. And you will notice in this project that there's a lot of selfie of me. So that was different as well, because I usually take pictures of my kids or other people, and I'm usually behind the camera. So that was another thing that was actually really nice this year. So we're going to finish off these pages here, and this last picture was on December 31st, so let's go to the very last day. And this project was all about that. It was about taking photos and documenting them and just going ahead and enjoying the process. So I'm going to finish with my little stars. I'm just going to tuck them in and underneath, just like so. And these 2 pages are done. So I'm super happy that I've completed my 2021 edition, which makes you all think, is there going to be a 2022 edition? Probably is, but you know what? I think I'm going to start my 2022 year on my birthday month, and that is in March. So it's going to give me a little bit of a break, and maybe I'll change the format just a tiny little bit. So here I'm showing you, yay, 52 weeks. Look at that. Let's make sure they're all nice and straight. And they are. So yeah, I think I'm going to start a 22 or 2022 edition, but I'm going to start it most likely in March. So when you're doing a project like this, it doesn't have to start January 1st. It can. It seems like a good start for anything. It can start on your birthday. It can start on your anniversary. It can start when you've purchased your brand new home. You can really start your 52 weeks anytime during the year. So that's why I'm thinking I'm going to start it on my birthday, just to change it up a tiny little bit. Again, this photo right here started my full journey of my 52-week project. And this one here, week 52, me and my walking buddy, can you believe we did over 4 million steps together this year? That was another great accomplishment. So let me talk you through the coloring of those little images, just in case you want to do them in the same tones. So I do like to pull out my swatches, as you saw. I did stamp those in Harbor ink. And then when I look at my swatches, I kind of try and match the colors of the pages with the markers. Now this one right here was really pretty, but with the black, it was a little bit harsh. So I thought, you know what, I'll just match up my colors, and I think I'll be happier in the end, and I was. So I'm going to speed this up quite a bit here, but I'm just going to talk you through a few details. So the little poinsettia here was done with the dark red blend and the dark red shades, just really close to the center. So I'm just going to touch all of the petals. So I started with the lightest shades at the ends, and as I'm working my way down into the center of the flower, I'm just progressively adding the different shades in the darker shades. And I'm just going to go back and add the darkest shade of red. Now for the leaves and all of that, again, I was trying to match my colors, and you saw that I was testing those right at the top. I like to do that. I just do a little bit of a test. And I started off with the jade green blend, in the lightest shade, and then I just added the medium tones and the darker tones just to add a few, shadows here and there. Nothing too crazy, but just to add a little bit of dimension. I find that with these markers, it's really easy to do that. You just kind of start with the light shade and you just work your way through all of the three colors, and it turns out quite nicely. Now for these ones here, I was testing out the turquoise blend and the vintage blue, and I found that those actually looked really nice as well with that harbor color. So this one here is done in the vintage blue. So I started with the lightest shade, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of shading on either end of the bauble so that it actually looks a little bit more circular. And I'm just adding just a tiny little bit. I'm not going over with that much detail, to be quite honest with you, but I'm just giving it a little bit of shading. So I'm going to come back in here with that dark blue, which is the turquoise blue in the shades. And I really like that combination. And again, I'm just hitting the ends a little bit with the darker shade. And I thought it'd be fun to bring back in that jade color right in the center. So we're just going to add a second layer here, a little bit more blending to give it a little bit more depth. And I think that's good. So for this larger one, I really like that jade color. Although it's a little bit brighter than the paper, I think that's okay. It just gives a little bit more interest. So I've gone ahead here and I've colored the entire thing with the lightest shade. And then I added some shading on each side. And I brought in again the turquoise color right here in the center. I think that that looks really good. We're just going to add a little bit of shading. And then for the last one, I thought, okay, I'll do this one in the darkest color that I have. And as you can see here, I went over that entire section really, really quickly. I added a tiny little bit of shading on each of the sides. And then I brought in the I think it's the vintage blue. And for the champagne flute, I actually brought in that gray marker, the ice gray. I thought it was going to make it look like champagne inside, but champagne is a little bit more goldy color. So I thought, okay, we'll fix that. Just hold on. We'll give it a little bit of shading just to give it some color. And we're just going to add a little bit of Christmas magic on these images in 1 second. So right here, I'm finishing off my little poinsettia with the turquoise blue. And they look really nice. They're really going to complement my pages. So that's what they look like when they're all colored in. And I thought, you know what? Why not? It's Christmas. Let's add a little bit of stickles. So I'm just adding a tiny little bit of stickles right in the center of the champagne flute, and that did it. That made it definitely look more like champagne. And we're just going to add a little bit here on the flowers and a little bit on the baubles. And these are done. So I want to take this opportunity one more time to say thank you for the encouraging words and all of the likes and all of the thumbs up. It was very encouraging, and I'm here to tell you that this project is completely doable. I've gone through week 1 to 52, all along, taken pictures, documenting, using up my scraps, which was a really, really nice thing. And I've got a complete year of scrapbooking done. I will come back with one last video to do a complete walkthrough of the entire project. As always, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Don't forget to take pictures and have yourself a fantastic year.